Guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and we did it, baby. Day 1 Wolverine tier 4 world first, all that good stuff. It's 2:30 in the morning right now, so I can't be too loud and hype, but I am very happy to announce my newest tier 4. My most recent minted tier 4 is none other than the baddest man in Marvel Future Fight. Absolutely amazingly sick looking uniform, looks so dope. We'll get into all that. But yeah, I just wanted to thank everybody that was on the live stream, everybody that donated. Unfortunately, we couldn't get it naturally. We couldn't go for an organic, natural tier 4, so we had to go and get the pack in the shop to unlock his potential. Stupid ass potential makes people spend money on that stuff. But yeah, went ahead and got the tier 4. The tier 4 actually wasn't that expensive. For those of you wondering, the total cost was only 6,400 carbonadium. So very similar to what I did for Adam. And honestly, probably about as expensive as some of the more expensive regular cost tier 4s. So if you get unlucky with a character like Iron Man or Black Bolt or something like that, they could end up costing you about the same. So not a more expensive tier 4, despite the fact that it is a native tier 2 type character. But yeah, there's a lot of good and there's a lot of bad to talk about with this character. So we'll get into it, and we'll basically just sort of skip all of the whole part of the video and all of the clips in the video where basically I'm upgrading him, because I just told you the cost, and that's kind of how it is. So as far as the rest of the build goes, his uniform has, we don't need the skill cooldown. I'll probably change that to something else. We got physical attack, all defense, and HP. The uniform options are horrendous, some of the worst ones we've seen in recent memory. Besides Jane Foster and Punisher, the rest are pretty garbage. You have Adam Warlock's old uniform, which is mega yikes. Then you have Spider-Man's old uniform, again, so gross, and then Rescue. So really nothing good here. Nothing good here for the uniform options. For the rest of the build, we actually have a CTP of Rage right now, which I will showcase shortly for you guys. We have a 6-star artifact, which is key for PvP. And I want to make this very clear throughout the video and in future videos when I'm testing him and showcasing him in PvP. He is good for PvP. He's very good for PvP. In my opinion, I think he's going to be meta for PvP. He's going to end up replacing characters like Carnage and Hulk, and despite the fact that Hulk has some pretty insane abilities, and despite the fact that Carnage has someone like Agent Venom to buff him that Wolverine doesn't. But I do think Wolverine is powerful enough to do that, to displace those other combat types for PvP specifically. I don't think he's going to be very valuable for PvE, so I think that's going to be where people are disappointed. In particular, before he gets to tier 4, he is noticeably struggling. Like he's noticeably weaker in PvE than I think people are expecting, and especially going from Miles to Wolverine, even at level 80, you're shocked at how much slower he is. So just keep that in mind. It seems like this uniform is very clearly positioned for PvP. The rest of the build here, we've got 4 Strike Odin's Blessings, 4 of the other ones, and then 4 of the heals, and then a bunch of HP. So this is kind of a PvP focused build for him. We have dodge rolled here, and then the stats look like that. Pretty much everything's capped. We got Power of Angry Hulk here, but we could swap to Binary Power if needed for some more PvP tanking. And then we have the Max type enhancement, which is really, really clutch. And we have Thor there as the striker. But let's go ahead and check out. He's got gorgeous skills, man. They did a really good job aesthetically. There is one thing they missed, and I'm really hoping that they add it in here, but I do want to talk about how gorgeous his skills look. So he still maintains a really fast foot speed, which is nice. His first skill throws a wave of X and then slashes, so you can absolutely cancel that, which is really nice, into something else. His second skill has a V-pad, which you can use to dodge attacks after you've committed to your rotation. So you do have a lot of flexibility in how you play him for PvE, despite the fact that he's not that good for PvE. But you can do something like, for example, right, you can do 1 and then you can cancel, and that wave keeps going, which is nice. His third skill, this is where it gets really nutty. Look at this. Look at how gorgeous this is, man. Holy cow. Really nice skill. Absolutely love seeing all those sort of mirages. And the best part is, as soon as he dashes, you can cancel out. Look at that. And you get all those hits for free. Really gorgeous. His fourth skill slashes from the sky, and then there's a sort of beam, like an upwards beam. You can cancel that as soon as he does the first slash, and you're still going to get that crazy upwards beam. You can also wait for the second slash, and you can still cancel it, and then you get a stronger upwards, like, blast, explosion, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, delay cancel there, like 3. And then 5, his bread and butter. This is the skill that's going to really make him, you know, this is the Kingmaker skill. This is the iframe ignore. This is all of the buffs, all of the debuffs, right? This is really the big kahuna. It does a shitload of damage. It's an iframe ignore skill, like I said. It's a long iframe for him. Gorgeous skill, gorgeous animation. I love the ground with the sort of, it's like data traveling through a network, right? It looks really, really cool. I really like the way it looks. And then his tier 3 now is a little bit shorter. They shortened a bit of the animation. They took out a bit of the animation, I guess. I don't know what else to call it, but they took out a bit of the animation. The SFX is still the same, where it does this like pan in on him roaring, and then he slashes. But I think what the difference is that his Phoenix 5 tier 3, he would do this initial roar and slash, but then he would dash around and then roar again and then do this final slash with the big X. So anyways, for what it's worth, that is what it looks like. As far as being proc friendly, I would say he's not very proc friendly. It sort of feels like Spider-Man, where he's probably designed for PvP, and he's also doesn't seem to be very proc friendly, so making him work as a proc friendly character is probably going to be difficult. It's not impossible, but it is probably not the most fun thing either. But hey, it's up to you. It's your opinion. You can do something very simple like 3 delay cancel 4 cancel 5. That's a really easy way to proc, and that's probably the most consistent. It's not the most damage, but it's the most consistent. Other people like doing 3 delayed cancel 5 and then letting that play out, and then when 5 is finished, doing 4. I don't like this one. I think it's going to proc your rotation sometimes, or, you know, it's kind of risky. Another one you can do, again, if you're very lucky or what have you. I mean, I don't recommend these kinds of rotations because there's lots of delaying, but you could do 3 delay, 4 delay, 5. I don't recommend it. I mean, this is the rotation that I'd recommend if you have a rage on him, because the delaying is fine. But that's the rotation I would use if I had a rage on him, is 3 delay cancel 4 with a longer delay on 4. And then just letting 5 play out, and then you can splash in the 1 and the 2 before and after in order to charge up the tier 3. As you'll see from the gameplay, his tier 3 charges up decently fast. His tier 4 charges up really fast, which is nice. And with Thor here, I'm getting the full buff, so I'm getting 80% attack plus the 20% active buff plus the 60% max HP. So now let's check it out. First comparison here we're going to do is, I think we tried Professor X a while ago on 54, so we're going to do the same thing here. 3 delayed cancel 4, and then we're going to let this rip. And there we go. We get a little bit of damage. You can see his damage really does scale up when you can do the tier 3 and the tier 4. You really start to see the bars moving. So that's just something to keep in mind. Until then, yeah, it's not quite as good. But there you go. 25-second phase 1. Not bad, but it is tier 4, which is the highest that he can go. So it's also not, you know, not crazy powerful here. And you can see without the tier 4, his damage does look a lot more pedestrian. But with the tier 4, it's very good. So, yeah, it's a little hit and miss. Remember, you can always use the V-pad there to move around. Let's go ahead and pop this, and then pop this, and this should take us all the way to the end, or very, very close to it. Okay. You're going to get iframe ignore through this, so it doesn't matter if he goes into the dragon phase. I really like the fact that his 5th skill, which is his damage skill, has iframe ignore, because it means that you're always going to be able to hit a boss, right, during your big attack. And we should be done. So yeah, not bad. 1 minute and 15 seconds with a rage, but not outstanding. Different test here now. Let's see what he does against a solo Dormammu. We tested this at tier 380 with a rage, and we were pretty disappointed. Now keep in mind, a mighty rage, a brilliant rage, is going to increase his damage, of course. Also keep in mind that since this is solo, Dormammu is going to have 500 million less HP, which is kind of a lot. And so, you know, you have to temper your expectations based on that. But let's go ahead and take a look here with the tier 3 and the tier 4 up. Okay, I mean, you could probably tank the damage from the flames. I'm not going to try, but you probably could, and you can hit him because you have iframe ignore on the 5th skill. You probably can't queue up any of your other buffs, but it's not the end of the world. But yeah, you can certainly see a huge difference from when he has his tier 4 up to when he doesn't have his tier 4 up. It's massive, but it's nice. Like Jean Grey, he charges up his tier 4 really fast, so you can have it up almost all the time. And you can see he's got a fat HP pool with the tier 4 buff active, which is really nice. So we're gonna pop it here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's actually not bad. That's a little bit higher than I expected in terms of damage. This is actually a little bit better. Wow, the tier 4 really does. You know what? It really does add quite a bit. Let's go, dude. He's flying. He does have, you know, 60% increased damage to speed types, right? Because he's got the type advantage. So this is certainly the best case scenario for Logan as far as his damage is concerned. But the other nice thing is, like a Jean Grey or like a Thanos, you really don't have to care about any defensive stuff, right? You don't have to dodge anything that Dormammu throws at you, because you're basically immortal. And even in worst case scenario, who triggers your artifact, if you have one, even a 3-star version, you're still good to go, and you can still kind of cruise through the fight with just a little bit of attention paid to some of his attacks if he's already triggered your artifact. But otherwise, you're kind of just laughing. So 2 minutes here is kind of a bad. 2 minutes is slow, I would say. 2 minutes is a little slow, but for regular rage, you also have to keep in mind most characters now are being compared with mighty rages or possibly even brilliant rages. So it is what it is. But hey, 2 minutes and 15 seconds with probably one of his best teams. I don't have Polaris. Polaris is another really good option if you don't have She-Hulk, but I'm using She-Hulk here because I don't have Polaris because I used her already with Namor. But yeah, he can certainly go to higher stages, right? You can use him and he can clear, I believe it was stage 70 of Ultron. So I do think if you need to climb and you don't have other options, he can climb for you. However, the other options are stronger. Like I think Professor X is going to be faster because he can utilize the Judgment. And then Namor is going to be a lot faster because he can also utilize the Judgment. And Namor has just more buffs and he's much more PvE oriented than Wolverine is. I can just give, I mean, we can do a comparison later, but it's fairly obvious. Like Namor has no PvP value. His value is all PvE, right? You can see his artifact is completely PvE focused, which increased damage to boss types. So it's only natural that he'd be faster than Wolverine. I don't think Wolverine is bad. I think he's certainly serviceable in PvE, but I don't think he's going to be meta for PvE, and I certainly don't think he's going to overtake you know, the recent combat tier 4s that have been very good for PvE, like Dr. Octopus and Namor and that sort of stuff. On the PvP side, though, very, very happy with his performance. Let's take a look here with a CTP of Rage. So with a PvE build, which some people enjoy seeing a character being able to do both things. Let's take a look at how he plays fully on auto versus let's just go against the top 5 teams here. He's going to struggle a little bit against Thanos. He gets guard broken a lot, and as you can see here, he actually gets his artifact triggered early. So ideally, if you can control the fight a little bit more, or you can just change the positioning, you would want him to be third rather than first, so that Colossus can take a little bit of the heat off of him. But look at this, he tanks Jean. He almost tanked Jean. That's unfortunate. It's fine. It's good to show defeats as well as victories. We don't want to overhype his value here. We'll tweak him quickly. We'll tweak him quickly just so that we get him. You know, some people like to, you know, oh, you need to give him enough time for his cooldowns and stuff like that. Sure. I mean, Wasp and Colossus don't last very long, so. But it is what it is. He only needs about 7 seconds. He only needs about 7-8 seconds for the 5th skill to be off cooldown. Oh, no, he needs a little bit longer than that. Okay, never mind. He needs quite a long time for that 5th skill to come off cooldown. Okay. Artifact's going to pop here. If he doesn't die... Like, basically, here's the thing. If you don't kill Wolverine in between his 5th skill coming off of cooldown, he's going to kill you. So that's your timer. Your timer is kill him before the 5th skill comes back, or he's going to kill you. Because that 5th skill is absolutely savage, right? And very few characters are going to be able to tank that. So he rips through that team, again, with a Rage. The Rage is doing very little for him offensively. It is giving him a bit of a damage buff, but obviously a PvP CTP would be superior. I do have a very stacked PvP build for him besides the CTP. So I don't want to, you know, mislead people into thinking they can have like a full PvE build and still have a dominant Wolverine. You know, I do have 8 HP Urus. I have lots of HP on my cards. I have 4 Heal Odin's Blessings, and I do have a 6-star artifact. I would say probably a 4-star artifact is the minimum for Wolverine. I don't think you necessarily need the full 6-star. Obviously, the more the better. But at least I would say at least a 4-star. But you can see he's cruising through some of these teams, soloing teams. This is a very difficult thing to do nowadays, right? Not a lot of characters can solo an entire team, particularly when you have multiple revive type characters. Now, it'll be interesting to see how the PvP meta shifts. Right now, I think Adam is banned from Vibranium, so these fights might go a little bit differently if Adam was here because he has type advantage. But there's a lot of focus. Thanos actually does really well against Wolverine. There's a lot of focus on Jean. And so that not only opens the door for someone who deals a lot of physical damage like Wolverine, but also for someone who doesn't deal any elemental damage, right? Like Wolverine. So we lost there. Yeah, Thanos triggering the artifact early is really what did him in. But I think he does superb. I really think he does well. And he does this, again, with a rage. Now, would I build him with a rage, but then for PvP? No. I wouldn't do that. And like I said, I don't think he's going to be meta for PvP, so I would just keep it or sorry, I don't think he's going to be meta for PvE, so I would just keep it PvP. But well, that's just me. He might have killed him. He might have killed him with the 3. He might have killed him with the 3. I think I died once to a Silver Surfer Reflect, which is so funny. Taking a lot of damage there, buddy, but it's over. Yep. Gorgeous. One more team here. Let's take a look at a challenger that has a challenger team that has Adam Warlock as well, so we can get a taste for his ability with type disadvantage and see how he performs, at least with a rage. I don't think we're gonna get the 5th skill off cooldown of 5 seconds. Ooh, long time, and Jean procs his shit right away. So it should be interesting to see. We do get the first kill. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to survive without the artifact until the second. Oh, he can pop the 5 again. Let's go. Yep. If you can pop the 5, they're going goodbye. And then he gets one tapped by Adam. Wow. Okay. Interesting. Anyways, a PvP CTP will make things much more competitive. But yeah, happy with his performance overall. Certainly think he's PvP leaning, but then again, it's also depending on how you want to build the character and what you want to build them for, and how much you're expecting to do, right? If you're just going to cruise through stage 9 of different world bosses, I think he's fantastic for PvE, super easy to play, fun, basically can never die. And then if you really want to push him to the max, I think PvP is really where you should focus your efforts because it's going to pay off massively. Now, I did say there was one thing the devs forgot aesthetically for him, and that is the idle animation. Remember the idle animation where he snicked? Yeah, where's the snicked? We need the snicked. Bring back the snicked. He looks so gorgeous in this uniform. They need to bring that back, man. That idle animation. It's gorgeous. Anyways, hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching. Smash the like button, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.